Welcome to the LDS Mental Health Podcast. This is a podcast for faithful women who want healing in their relationships, guidance from God, and internal peace. Each week, you'll hear mental health concepts taught through a spiritual lens from me, a licensed clinical mental health counselor, to help you start thinking in a higher and holier way. I'm so excited to welcome back to the podcast Melinda or Mindy Brown. She was on the podcast a few years ago.
I think.
But what? That's crazy.
Yeah.
When we talked about your first book, Eve and Adam, Discovering the Beautiful Balance. You have a new book out. So why don't you just tell the listeners a little bit about you, your family, what you do?
Okay, sounds great. I go by Mindy, like you said. I love to study and read and deeply read, research, and write. Writing's probably the hardest part of that, but it's also very satisfying because it forces a crystallization of what I'm thinking and feeling and ideas that I've had or inspiration I've had to guide me into different discoveries. So I love that. Both of my books really came out of wanting to figure things out for myself, first and foremost. But the new book, An Endowment of Love, was also kind of the intersection of the last 5 years teaching a temple class for one of the on-campus stakes at BYU, where I was serving. I'm no longer serving there. I was recently released from that after 5 years, and it was truly delightful for all 5 years. And I was so sad when it had to come to an end. In that 5-year span, I had released the first book. I went back to school. I got a master's of Christian practice at Duke Divinity School, which I was tackling in order to study ritual and worship more deeply and from multiple angles. I've had a few people tell me who are from the divinity school world and have read the second book that they love that they can feel those influences there. I don't know if a non-divinity school person would pick that up, but it definitely was heavily influenced from my divinity school experience. It was like drinking from a fire hose. It felt like two programs at once because one of the programs was the language immersion program. I just had so much to learn about all the vocabulary of our Christian siblings that I was going through school with. And most of the emphasis was on a Protestant angle, Methodist, particularly because that's what Duke is based in. It's a John Wesley Methodism-based school. And we actually have a lot of close ties and friendships with Methodism since our 1830s days. So that's nice. There felt like a lot of commonalities and common ground there, which made it really comfortable. The people there could not have been kinder and more generous and inviting. And it was really, really wonderful. It did open my eyes to so many different ways to approach temple worship in our tradition and in LDS temples that it was really thrilling. I was closely zoomed into theology and the arts to study symbols and how that influences temple worship, but also Christian education, which was really helpful in helping me figure out how to write about this in a way that maybe brought fresh eyes to it. That was really my goal with it. Besides that, when I'm not doing those things, and these days more than ever because I'm kind of having a resting, catching my breath, recuperating sort of year.
That's good.
Nice. Yes, it's very
Needed
nice.
something.
I'm calling this my good wife year. I'm really focused on being a good, supportive wife this year. So yeah, my husband and I are spending a lot of fabulous time together, and I'm supporting him in a new job, an adventure he's having. We're commuting between Utah and Colorado, which is exciting, and we love it. And then I have 4 grown children, 2 of whom are married with children. So I have 5 little grandsons. They are the joy of my universe. So I love that. And then love to be outside, love hiking, love the beach, sunsets and sunrises, and all sorts of wonder-inducing experiences like that. That's kind of where my focus is these days. So yeah, I'm in a happy place and I'm grateful. So happy to be here with you.
Is there an end goal with the education that you're like, I'm hoping to kind of go here now that I have this education?
Well, I would love to find new avenues for teaching my temple class. It's a little atypical of a curriculum from your more average, I would say, temple prep. We called it Temple Plus because we really wanted it to be about all things temple and for everyone, whatever stage of your temple journey you are. And that really worked well. I think that's a valuable way to approach it personally. And it was just really robust. It was a 12-week class and kind of ran the course of a semester, an hour every week. And the continuity of it, I think, really helps in terms of discussions and creating a comfort level and trust to allow for the harder discussions to tackle worries and fears and anxieties and all of those. As I'm sure you are aware, the 18 to 22-year-old window right now of our young people are just full of worries and anxieties and fears. And so I really wanted to find a way to approach it and discuss it and share it in a really safe, loving space. That was my goal in the book. Hopefully we hit that mark.
You totally did. I love it. I have read Eve Adam probably 4 times. And I recommend it to so many people because it taught me so much about opposition, the purpose in the fall, and our role as women. Like a couple people have asked me, like, what book would you read about women in the priesthood? And I'm like, this one. Because it just taught me so much about my role and equality that comes with that. So I feel like this endowment of love, first of all, the artwork on this is so cute. I love it so much. Tell me about how you came up with that.
Well, it's Justin Wheatley. He's the artist.
Okay.
And basically, Deseret Book gave me a couple of options, and I love Justin's work. I think it's really inspiring. One thing you can't quite see on that cover is he typically does a red line, almost like a thread up to heaven.
Yeah.
Faint in that picture, just showing that sort of divine communication and that conduit. I've really loved that in all of his pieces. He does homes and all sorts of different buildings and just a few temples that he's done, but I was familiar with that. So when I saw that, I jumped on that one, and I love the blue. I just think it's a happy color.
That's what I feel like. I feel like this is just so inviting me into it and just drawn to it. I absolutely love this. And I just learned so much about the covenants that we're making, specifically those things when you're trying to focus on this and how can I study this in depthly. I feel like it really drew me into those concepts and how I can work on them outside of the temple.
Yeah. Good. That was really the point. I feel like it has to be applicable when you walk out the door because we don't get to live in the temple. The whole point is to go in and brush off some of the grind, shine yourself up a little, get that confidence boost, and then get right back out there.
Yes.
Get back out and get back to work. So I really frame them as eternal principles of covenant relationships and every relationship. Really, every interaction we have with another, whether that's a divine other or a mortal other, has the potential to be a covenant relationship. And I think these are principles that with fresh perspectives of viewing them, you can start to recognize that these are actually the basic guidelines and principles of how relationships work better.
Yeah.
And so I think when we see it that way, it just feels so much more applicable, more meaningful. I really feel like if something doesn't help today, I have a hard time keeping my 100% focus on way distant future. I just think the motivation of it actually making a difference today is what is much more encouraging and interesting to me to hold my attention and keep me working on it. That's kind of why I came at it that direction.
I love it. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today too. Like, how can we keep our focus, right? Because one of the things that can draw our focus away from wanting to go to the temple is anxiety.
Definitely.
And I hear this a lot from women. Lots of reasons cause anxiety in the temple, whether that be clothing, memorization, time, or just having to sit still. There's lots of things that can cause anxiety in the temple, which can decrease us wanting to attend or focus or get something meaningful out of that. I like how you talked about this at the beginning of the book too. We all have preconceived notions that we bring to things that we give meaning to, right? But I think that we have previous circumstances that might cause anxiety in the temple too, right? That we
Definitely.
might come in with certain ideas or situations that cause anxiety in the temple. And I loved you had an ad with Deseret Book where you talked about decreasing anxiety about going to the temple. Me and Mindy got to talk about that because I think this is such a good topic to dive into. So we're going to talk about 3 ways we can decrease anxiety about going to the temple, being in the temple, things like that. Let's just start with the first one.
Yeah. Well, I think the first is kind of a mindset shift. Like you just mentioned, we come with preconceived notions, with baggage. It's funny that we remember things that grandparents said when we were 9 and it sticks, right? So sticky. In the introduction book, I share a quote from Henri Matisse, the artist, who says that a rose is the hardest thing to paint because you have to forget every other rose you've ever seen and come at it with fresh eyes. And I think the human psyche is a tricky, complicated thing, right? But if we could just shake it out and get all those earlier thoughts, set them aside, put them in a box or just blow it away, whatever, come fresh, come with your own eyes. One of the beautiful things that we read in scripture several times is this notion it couldn't be written, right? A prime example is in 3rd Nephi. The Savior is there visiting among Nephites and Lamanites, and there's a portion that just says it couldn't be written. And a lot of us recall and grew up in a time where we didn't talk about the temple nearly so openly. We were really encouraged to keep those things very sacred and private. This is sort of a hold both situation because, yes, it's really helpful to be able to have discussions like you and I are having, but it's also really valuable to not talk about it in the sense that you tell somebody, oh, well, this is a 1-to-1. Let me just tell you, you don't need to think about it anymore. This is what this means. That is not what symbols are about. That's not how Jesus taught with symbols. When we think about parables, Jesus did not give the parable and then say, now I'm going to spend 3 chapters telling you precisely what everything means. It was exactly the opposite. He gave it and then invited them to think about it. Wherever they were at in their place, they could get a different layer of meaning from it. In the biggest sense, religious symbols are meant to be multivalent, to have lots of different layers to them, which means there are a lot of valid meanings. And your meaning today may be very different than what you're going to draw from it 5 years from now or how you felt about it 5 years ago. And certainly it is totally valid that they might be different than your grandfather in 1981 when he told you something.
And his life experience and what it meant to him is very different than your life experience and what it means to you.
So let me give you permission right now to just pour out what's in your brain and go in with completely fresh eyes. Just put brand new shiny glasses on to see it through with fresh eyes. Let go of everything that you thought you knew and just look at it as if it were your first time and you'd never seen this before. How might you interpret that today? What is that symbol saying to you? A really handy little saying that I love is it's a starting point, not a finish line. And it's really helpful to just see a new beginning every day is a new beginning. You don't need to worry about who you were last year when something was bothering you or making you upset. You may still have concerns about that, but try to let whatever everybody else has told you, just leave that outside the temple. Don't bring it in with you. You get to be you, and it gets to be very personal, and you can interpret it how you would like to interpret it. As long as it speaks to God's love, then dream away, open your mind to wonder and think expansively about it and just see all the new directions an expansive mindset can bring you. And it can be really exciting. You might get something totally fresh and new out of it, which, shoot for that.
Which is what we need. Yeah. Well, I was just thinking that going in fresh every time you go allows you to learn something new. I was just thinking of that. What if I just went in there and, didn't have this idea of what I needed to learn or expand on, but just okay, this is my very first time seeing this and experiencing this. What am I picking up on?
And ask yourself, what's going to jump out at me? What's a word that I never really thought about before? And if you get the word in the first 3 minutes and some word or phrase jumps out, go right ahead and spend the next hour pondering that.
Yeah.
Let the rest move on. You'll be back. And you don't need to worry about every single bit right now. Just pick one little nugget to roll over in your mind and really ponder.
Oh, I love that. This is a beginning, not an ending point, and
Yes.
allow yourself to really be open and take in whatever the Spirit is prompting you to take in. I love that because we're really opening up to God's will in that moment. I talk about when we assert our will in situations, we close off our ability to receive God's will, right?
Mhm.
And so when we're going into the temple with these preconceived, things of this is the way it has to be because that's the way my great grandfather said. And so then
Yeah.
his grandfather said, and so that's the way it has to be. Then we're not allowing God's will to be a part of our experience.
I think it's helpful. There's a Jewish concept that guides a lot of Jewish midrash and conversation, which is that everything should be a conversation starter, not an ender, not a finisher, but a starter. Grab that little thought, idea, phrase, image, or symbol. Maybe you see it in stained glass or whatever. See it as a starter and just let your mind bloom, blossom wide open, and see what comes into that.
That's a beautiful analogy for peacemaking too, right? What if
Oh,
we
definitely.
approached every conversation with this is a conversation starter? Because I feel like so much contentions on like we're trying to be the finishers of all conversations. It's so
Right.
much contention, right? Like I want to be the final word in things, but what if we just
Yeah.
embodied that all together? Like how much
Yeah.
peace that would create.
I think we've been trained up this way, a lot of us, depending how old you are, thinking, okay, I have to go in and learn something. But what if you go in being curious and wondering? What are you going to wonder about? Because wonder is such a great emotion and feeling. It's
Yeah.
really, it's a sense like that awe. If you can get yourself to the state of awesome wonder, it will just open your mind and then the Lord can fill it. But you're not clinging or searching or digging. It's not like you're doing this painful, active climbing. It's go in and think of it as a yoga experience, a practice. And what is your practice calling you from or for today? What do you need from today's practice? Open yourself to that and bring your curiosity and wonder, and then let the Lord work on you that way.
Let your mind wander.
Yeah.
Try not to control it and direct
Yeah.
it, but let it wander. I love
Yeah,
that.
that hymn, I wonder as I wander.
Good. So that's tip number one, be
Yeah.
open, let go of those preconceived notions. Tip number two.
I think each temple has a vibe. It's really shaped by the temple presidency. The temple presidency is given quite a lot of leeway. They have a white notebook that they follow, procedures and the basics very closely. So there are clear consistencies across temples, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's also they do things a little bit different and
There's a culture at certain ones.
a culture. Yes, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And depending where you live, not everybody has the luxury of having a couple to choose from or maybe equidistant from their house. But a lot of us do. And the more that are built, the more of us do. So you might experiment with your options. I don't think there's anything wrong with feeling like, oh, I really love that temple. I feel really comfortable there. There's a climate there that's just my kind of climate, right? For me personally, I'm a total art lover and I want to be surrounded by art. And so I have just decided that Manti is my temple. And it's not the closest of my temple. I don't always get to go to Manti, but when I can make a day of it, I go to Manti because to me, that is my language. And I have a much better conversation with the Lord when I'm speaking that language. And he has more to work with in Manti because there's so much art. You're just surrounded by it. A lot of other temples have murals and things like that, and stained glass and maybe woodworking is your love language,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
it
Ah,
is, you can select that. The other thing that you can do in a similar vein is if you develop some regularity, say you're going to go once a week or once a month, but you're going to go the same day and the same time, you'd start to see some consistency in the workers because they have a consistent schedule. And so you might explore a bit, like figure out, okay, this is my temple. This is the best option for me. And now I'm going to try a couple different times and I'm looking for a woman worker who feels warm to me. Maybe I had some connection. Maybe I had an interaction in the dressing room or something and she smiled at me. Okay, I think I could feel comfortable with her. And go try to look for her, introduce yourself. Say, hey, I'm Mindy. I see you here when I come frequently, and I really appreciate your warm smile. It makes me feel comfortable here. Thank you. And
hmm.
she'll probably tell you her name,
Yeah.
and then seek her out and just say, if you start a conversation, don't be bashful. Just say, I really like to come when you're here because you help me feel more comfortable here. I mean, you will make
Yeah.
her day. You will
Right?
absolutely make your day. And she will
She will
remember you,
love
right?
that. Yeah, yeah,
When she sees you coming,
yeah,
she'll be like, oh, it's so nice to
yeah.
see
She'll start looking for you.
So that is a really great way to start feeling like you belong there. But ultimately, if you have a temple recommend, you belong. It's your temple. You are
Yeah,
welcome there. Sometimes we struggle with the appointment system. We feel
yeah,
like, what if I can't get an appointment? I guess I can't go. Or if I
yeah,
don't have it, but I just need to go today, are they going to turn me away?
yeah,
Anything like that.
yeah,
It's important to have the confidence to say, if they question you, I just would love to come worship in the temple. I would just like to find a comfortable spot to sit and read the scriptures.
yeah,
It will not turn you away. I mean, the worst they can say is, well, why don't you go into the office and see where you could serve? I don't want to tell you to do anything that lacks integrity, but it is in fact true that you could say, oh, well, thank you very much. Maybe don't say yes, just say
yeah.
thank you very much. Go in and then go find a comfortable place to sit and read your scriptures.
Nobody will know.
Really, it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and so I think that takes a little courage, but sometimes you need to have somebody that you feel like knows what they're talking about and can explain that to you. I live in Provo mostly, so I've got lots of temples I visit. While teaching the class at BYU, I did some research because I
yeah,
wanted to know for sure. I wanted to be able to tell the students, no, if you have a recommend, you are welcome in the temple. Don't turn you away. We had some differing cultures among
yeah,
our local temples. And I've confirmed that this is
yeah.
true. Find a chair to read in. There are
I love
lots of
that.
places to sit.
It's bigger temples. There is
Yes.
nowhere to sit
Oh,
in a tiny
true.
temple. Yeah.
Good point.
Well,
That
actually,
may
no.
be true.
There is one couch. There's one tiny little couch right there. They would love for you to come sit on
Oh,
that little
goodness.
couch.
And you can always go in the chapel and sit in the back corner or something. I mean, if anybody hassles you, you can say, oh, I'm waiting for someone. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
We don't have a chapel in
yeah.
ours. That's how tiny our temple
Oh,
is. We don't have a chapel. But I love that part. I love that we just walk in there. When I started going every Friday morning, I do
mhm.
different things, but it's such a tiny temple. I know who's there. I know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I feel so much more comfortable about going to the temple. And because I
Yeah.
was so scared to go to other temples, the anxiety of knowing where to go. Is
Yeah.
someone going to tell me and I'm going to walk into the men's restroom on accident? What's going to happen? The anxiety of going to a big temple because the tiny temple was the only temple I really went to. It made me feel comfortable and know some of these little nuances. It's fine. It really is fine. These
Mhm.
things aren't as big as my brain is making it to be.
Yes.
And when I
Yes.
started knowing those people and them knowing my name, like a couple of them knew who I was, so they would introduce me to other people. It just feels like this is my time now. This is like my family that's always
Yeah.
there on Friday mornings. And I love going then. I felt a lot more comfortable going to other temples and branching out, stretching myself in that way. So
Yeah.
it does make a difference for sure.
Yeah. I think it does. And even just the regularity of
Yeah.
having a set time because sometimes we get scared of things and then we stretch the time in between. Like I had a period of time, especially when my children were little, that I was so afraid of flying. Like flying really was
Yeah.
anxiety provoking
Yeah.
for me. We didn't have any family close by, and so we would have to fly a fair bit to see them. A little miracle sort of blessing, a tender mercy that in this period, I suddenly had a stretch that I had to fly frequently. And as I looked ahead and thought, oh my word, I have to have like 8 flights in the next 4 months. I can't do it. It was actually the reverse. The more frequently I did it, that little stretch where I was doing it frequently, I just got accustomed to it
Decreased the
and it
anxiety.
got better.
Yeah.
So I think that is helpful. Not that it has to be a long visit. That
Yeah.
would actually be my third important tip with that is if it is a stressful experience for you, you do not have to stay for very long. Get yourself used to going in and getting comfortable. A lot of women share the sense that initiatory is really a comfortable space. It's a smaller group.
Yeah.
You're only with a couple of other women.
Yeah.
There are no men there. You don't have to put on a lot of extra robes, a lot of sacred clothing. You're just in your outfit that you
Mhm.
bring. You can
I
choose
love
that,
that. Yeah.
right? And on that point, work on finding yourself that something you're comfortable in.
Yep.
And to be clear on that, I have a close friend who works in the temple department in the white clothing, and she is over dresses and women's non-ceremonial clothing. And so she's focused on finding different patterns and styles so that every woman can find something that works for them. But you don't have to buy your non-ceremonial clothing from a church affiliated outlet.
Mhm. Get
Has
mine
to
on
be
Amazon.
it has to
Uh-huh.
be white. The skirt portion has to be T length, so like halfway knee to ankle is
Yeah.
acceptable. So if you
Okay.
don't want to have a long one, that's okay. Don't
That
have
causes
them
me
to the
anxiety too. I
ground.
feel like I'm gonna trip down the stairs in them.
You can get a shorter one, right?
Oh.
Sleeves have to be 3/4 length, so they don't have
Yeah.
to go to your wrist. If you're
Yep.
really hot, get an open sleeve that goes a few inches past your elbow. You can mix and match. If you're cold, get a white sweater. If you're hot, get a really lightweight thing. If you don't want something on your waist, get
Yeah.
a dress. You
Yeah.
can do lots of things with it. For me, I learned that it made me uptight if I felt like I totally messed up my hair and I have short hair, use a lot of
Yep.
hairspray. It bothered me to pull anything over my head. And
Yeah.
so I thought, well, this is so dumb. Then why do I have a dress that goes over my head? I'm going to find something that I can step into. That's
Yeah.
going to make me feel better. You can make adjustments like that. But then if you're doing initiatory, you don't even have to do a set number of names. Like
Yeah.
if they're doing 5 names
Yeah.
that day or 3, you can just say, can I just do one?
I
Not a
love
problem.
that.
Take an 8-minute experience. Most people can get through 8 minutes.
And President Nelson talked about every minute in the temple counts. That's
Course.
going to be power that you receive by being there and the
Absolutely.
sacrifice and the effort that you made.
And if it is an anxiety provoking experience for you, trust me, you're getting lots and lots of attention and love and warmth spiritually by working through those feelings and feeling like I want to go visit the Lord. I know he would love to see me. And I think it's helpful to see it that way. I really picture it like I'm going to my grandparents' home and they can't wait to see me. They just want me to come visit. They just want to sit with their arms around me.
I
They
love
just
that.
want to pour out love on me and then send me back out and say, come back again soon. We just love you so much. That's kind of the quintessential grandparent experience. And I think the temple can be like that. It doesn't have to be a lot. But I do think initiatory is such a gift because it's such a small package. And if you get accustomed to the experience, you can do it 3 or 4 or 5 times in succession, not that rapid. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody's racing through it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But doing it over and over makes it much more comfortable. An endowment session is just such a bigger package, and you don't get the luxury of doing it over and over quickly and back to back. So it's scary and overwhelming again every time for a lot of people. Work up to
Yes.
that.
That's also helped me. Sometimes we feel like, oh my gosh, it is so much time to get there and do
Mhm.
that. Just doing initiatory and saying, I'm going to do one initiatory. Like that's a whole hour of like
Yeah,
the travel and getting dressed and doing initiatory and coming home. Like I can do that in 1 hour. And that feels
yeah,
doable to me. That's
yeah.
what helped me get to the temple more often too. I was talking to a friend one time. We did a endowment session and she was having some anxiety about that. I said, don't come do endowments, like do initiatories. And she's like, how
Yes.
have I never thought of that? Like, how have I never thought, like, it's almost like we need this permission. Like, it's okay
Yeah,
to just go do initiatories. Like, you don't have to do endowments or ceilings and
yes.
spend that much time there.
There was even a time when all my kids were just really stretching me thin. I just was very tired. And it was hard for me to sit down. I felt sleepy.
Yeah.
Then I felt guilty and I felt really badly. And I
Yeah.
was afraid I was going to make a fool of myself, like I was going to start snoring or something. And I
Right.
didn't want to do that. So there was a little stretch that what I did in the temple was I went to the laundry and I folded. I
Wow.
happen one of my special gifts, I have to say, is that I am a really good folder and I enjoy precision folding. It's
Wow.
therapeutic, like the
Yeah.
motions of folding things,
Yeah.
right? When I discovered it, I stumbled on it because we'd been given a ward assignment and I had signed up. I thought, are you kidding me? There is this whole
I
place
didn't
in the
even know you could do
basement.
that. That's so
Yes.
cool.
They struggle to find volunteers to come in and fold things, especially if there's rentals. If you have that sort of system, if you're in one of
Hmm.
the bigger temples,
Yeah.
they need all those things folded and they like them
Yeah.
folded very precisely. You can do nothing but fold a sash for 40 minutes and you have really served. The spirit and the laundry is still temple
Yeah.
spirit. I had really sweet experiences in the
I
laundry.
thought you would have to volunteer to work at the temple every week and fold the laundry, but you can just go in there and do it one time.
You can
Hey, I
ask.
just want to
Just
come do
say,
this.
I'd love to help. Is there something I could fold? Right?
Oh,
And
wow.
every temple has a laundry because every temple has a baptistry. They need socks
Yep.
sorted.
Yep.
And all the socks are basically the same. This is pretty simple and somebody needs to do it. So go fold socks.
Yeah.
You
I
can do that.
love that. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's
Yes.
so cool.
Not only
Thinking
that,
outside the box. Yeah.
yes. And if you go with a friend, you can talk the whole time you're folding socks,
Oh my gosh.
right?
This is amazing.
Yeah.
I
I
love
mean,
this.
there are
Yeah.
different ways to tackle some
Yeah.
of these things.
And
Go creatively and appreciate that. The entire temple grounds are dedicated. So, if the best thing for you to do is sit on a bench by a beautiful plant and ponder
mm,
the beauty of that plant for a bit, a reverence for life, that's a great temple experience.
wow. I love that because sometimes you don't make it there in time, right? Or there's
Yeah,
not a session during the time that you could do something, right?
sure.
And you're like, but I really want to go to the temple and do something. But I
Yeah,
love that idea of just like, let me go to the temple grounds and just ponder and just be in this environment that allows me to feel closer to the Lord.
yeah, yeah,
That's such a
yeah.
great idea.
And one other suggestion I'd make, because I think sometimes this is helpful as well, if you feel like you want to have something that you've done, right? Like you need
I
something to
checked
hold
this
on
off
to,
my
something
list.
tangible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to keep a journal, a temple journal in my bag. It helps me to focus on that one intriguing thought that I'm going to wonder about and be curious about if I have the habit of writing about it afterwards. Not a lot of writing, like in the locker room is when I pull it out. I sit up for maybe 3 minutes and I put the date, what I did, and a phrase or a thought I was pondering.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
love
But
that.
but
Yeah.
just the
You're
action of
recording
writing
it.
that
Mhm.
out,
Mhm.
right,
Yep.
makes it stick and percolate a little bit
Yep.
more. And maybe by the time you get home, you've thought of something else that you're like, oh, I got to write that down. I hadn't thought this
Yeah.
connection. And you
I
never
love
have to
that.
go back and do anything, and that's totally private.
Yeah.
Who's ever going to go through
Yeah.
your temple bag?
Yeah, I
And it's
love
not,
it.
you're not doing anything bad. You're not recording anything you shouldn't be
Yeah.
writing down. It's fine. But I think that can be a really valuable tool also.
This is amazing. This is so cool. You gave me like 20 tips. These are so cool.
Oh,
I love
good.
them all. And I really can testify of that. Like I had a lot of anxiety going to the temple. I had no preconceived notions because I wasn't a member of the church. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
going to the temple, actually, this is a funny story. The one anxiety they had going through the temple, for some reason, I had this idea. I don't know where this idea came from, but you had to have this blue bag to go to the temple. There was a specific blue bag that had, so it was the night before I was going to the temple. And my friend Julie, who introduced me to the church, and my husband, they're getting me ready. And I was like, guys, I don't have the blue bag. And they're like, what blue bag? And I was like, there's a bag that we have to go to the temple. And they tried to convince me there wasn't a bag. And I was like, there's a bag. I need the blue bag. And like, I was having this anxiety come apart. And my husband went and bought me a blue bag. And like,
Oh,
I had that bag forever. And he still makes fun of me. He's like, do you need another blue bag? Do you need to replace? It's just
so
like
funny.
that was my preconceived notion going into the temple. I thought they were trying to convince me that like you're fine because I didn't have the bag and didn't want me to feel bad. And I was like, no, I know that we need this bag. I see everybody with this blue bag now. Of course, there's cute bags all over the place and they're not blue. I think it's true that the more that I went to the temple and just really tried to not have this pressure on that, right? Of like, I have to be perfect. I have to learn this thing. I have to do this. And just was like, nope, this is my time. Friday mornings is my time. I try to go as much as I can on that. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But I try to go. My anxiety about the temple has really decreased and it
That's
really
so
does make a
nice.
difference. And
Yeah,
I think the other thing is finding comfortable clothes that you want to go in. Like I literally have
absolutely.
a white sweater from Amazon and a white skirt because that's comfortable to me. I found comfy socks and comfy
Mhm.
shoes that I feel like I can go and I can enjoy myself because I'm not like in something that's tight around my arms and I had to have
Yeah,
somebody else zip up from the back. I
exactly.
just felt so uncomfortable, or maybe I've gained 10 pounds since last time I went and now I can't zip my skirt, right? Like, or I
Yeah.
can't do this. I'm like, I have things with elastic waist and stretchy, sweater so that I can feel
Mhm.
comfortable no matter how I'm feeling at that time.
Yeah, and in that regard, I think we think about the ritual aspects inside the temple, but sometimes it's really helpful to ritualize bigger than that. Maybe you have a special necklace. I have a sweet little cross necklace. I love
Yeah.
cross necklaces. I have several of them, but
Yeah.
I just kind of like to feel that. Maybe you have something that's going to give you some comfort that way, or a favorite scent that you want to
Yep.
wear. Put some
Yeah.
extra on around your wrist or something, and as you're sitting there,
I
just kind
love
of
that.
smell it and be like, "Oh yeah,
Mhm.
this is my temple scent,"
I
right?
love
And
that.
and by all
Yeah.
means, treat yourself to a beautiful bag. Do not take a
Yeah.
dumb bag. A
Yes.
bag you like. Not that I want
Yes.
you to go into debt for this
Yeah,
bag or
yeah,
anything,
yeah,
but
yes.
have a bag
Yeah.
you think
Feels
is
special to you.
like a
Mhm.
little perk, and even a place that you like to swing by and get a drink after.
Mhm.
Or there's a Jimmy John's by the Mount Timpanogos Temple that I often like. I know exactly how I leave and the turn I take, and there's the Jimmy John's drive-through,
Oh,
and
I love
I
that.
eat a Jimmy John's sandwich as I keep going.
Yeah.
Just some extra things that are like, oh, this is my way of doing this, and
Mm.
it personalizes it.
I love
And
that.
then you see it bigger than just the scary part. The
Yeah.
scary part shrinks as you add beneficial kind of ritual habits to make it special to you. And I think that helps.
That's such good advice. So true. I love to listen to certain things on my way. That
Oh,
helps me
yeah.
kinda get in that. These have been so
Oh,
wonderful.
you did good brainstorming. I'm all
Yeah,
excited.
yes.
So,
Where can what's the best place to people to find your books if they want to
um,
listen
well,
or find
they're
it?
through Deseret Books, so you can
Okay.
always get them there. But I think you can get them on Amazon, just wherever
Yeah.
fine books are sold. Are you?
You promoting an Instagram or a website? Do you have
Do
any
you
place you
know?
want me to send
I
people?
I have ridden the wave and am done now with social media. I'm not interested in it now. I feel like, I mean, we connected through
Yeah,
Break
yeah.
Like Eve
Yep,
years
yep,
ago,
yep.
and I feel like we were in the golden time for
Yeah,
Instagram. When I went to school, I didn't have time for it.
yeah,
When I could have gone back to it, I talked to my daughter and daughter-in-law, and we all
yeah.
said, you know what? Just not feeling it now. And I just think the world has changed, and I don't want to
Mhm.
give anybody a reason to be there if it's not good for them. Don't
Yeah,
be there. You don't
yep.
need to find me there. If anyone wants to shoot me an email, I'd love to chat with you via email. My email is melindawbrown@gmail.com.
Oh, I love that.
And yeah, I mean, there are all sorts of ways you can track people down these days,
Yeah.
right? But But yeah, I'm really savoring real life connection, phone
Yeah.
calls, being in person, going on
Yeah.
walks with a good friend.
Love
Yeah,
it. I love
in
it. We'll
person.
we'll link both of the books because
Okay.
I think they're both must-haves. I have my tabs in both of them.
So
This is going to
nice.
be my next one that I love rereading, referencing, and sending people to. Thank you so
Wow.
much for taking the time to come on the podcast
You're
again. We'll also
welcome.
link your other episode because it was amazing as well. I learned so much from. Thank you for listening to the LDS Mental Health Podcast. I hope you were able to find ways of healing, guidance, and peace. If you liked this episode, please share it with a friend who would love to start thinking in a higher and holier way as well. Or hit that follow button so you don't miss out on any episodes. Also, check out the links in my show notes for other episodes you might like and links for other mental health resources on my website.